I'm taking a hike today down to the rapids, which are just above Niagara Falls, just above the Horseshoe Falls. I'm going to go and look at a scow that's been sitting on rocks, and it was marooned there 101 years ago. So the scow is quite a ways out in the channel. It's quite a ways out from the shore, and it's right here. So the scow has been sitting beached on some rocks in this position since 1918, and it hasn't moved until November 2019. The scow was owned by the Great Lakes Dredge and Docks Company, and its purpose was to dredge up sand from the banks of the Niagara River upstream from the waterfall. On August the 6th, 1918, Gustav Lufberg and Frank Harris were aboard the Great Lakes Dredge and Docks Company scow, dredging up sand from the Niagara River upstream from the waterfall. When the tugboat came back to bring the scow back to shore, it broke loose and began floating downriver rapidly towards the falls. The men were in peril, and the boat eventually got caught on a rock shoal about 2,500 feet or 750 meters from the edge of the falls, leaving the two Niagara Falls Power Company employees stranded in the middle of the raging torrent of water. The Niagara Falls Fire Department tried using a grappling gun to shoot a lifeline out towards the barge from atop the roof of the Toronto powerhouse while awaiting the arrival of the U.S. Coast Guard from Youngstown, New York, who was bringing a heavier grappling gun. The men were marooned for about 17 hours in total, and only getting rescued when the U.S. Coast Guard did arrive and managed to send a lifeline over to the barge, and both of the marooned men made it safely back to shore by a breeches buoy. The historical record is not very clear as to whether or not the two employees who were on the scow opened the bottom doors of the scow to allow the scow to get snagged on the rocks, or whether the scow just got hung up on the rocks by itself. But nonetheless, they weren't very far from the edge of the falls before they got stopped on the shoal. So quite the adventure from 101 years ago, and even today it would be quite the event. So the fellows that were involved with this were very, very lucky.